Hello and welcome back. I'm Clive Gilson, the story guy, and this week we are hearing a tale from an upcoming novel, which is part 2 of the Cry Havoc series, a science fiction couplet. The novel itself is called A Symphony of Silence, and the story in this particular episode is The Hawking Parallel. It's a little tale about how we listen to the beginning of the universe and prove who we are and where we are. The tale will be told in 5 parts over the next few days, and I look forward to joining you as we go through on this particular journey. The Hawking Parallel, Part 1. It rained the morning we buried him, a definite Cambridge rain, thin and almost polite. It soaked you anyway. I stood under the yews at the back of the assembled mourners, holding a paper folder inside my coat. The title faced my shirt to keep the rain from smudging the ink. A smooth exit from eternal inflation. 10 days before he went, he'd sent it to me. Of course he had. After the funeral, we made our respective ways back to the college. The crowd thinned and the diehards cloistered themselves around empty chairs, cold tea and curling sandwiches. I walked back to the lab and sat at his desk. No one stopped me. The wheelchair space was altogether too neat. Someone had even wiped the wheelchair tire marks from the skirting board. I opened the folder and read our paper one more time, my eyes watering. I tried 3 times before the words steadied on the page. When I say we, I really mean he. My part in this was less substantial. I likened it to me being the mortar between his bricks, necessary but supportive. The paper posited something finite and predictive, a way out of the paradox. If all things really started with nothing, then how do we find the something that we can test? We needed a signature in the sky. We needed to find B modes, those patterns of handedness in the polarization of the cosmic microwave background. They were fundamentally important because they would give us a unique signature of primordial gravitational waves, which are predicted by the theory of cosmic inflation. Detecting these B modes would provide strong evidence for the inflationary period of the early universe. He had written in the margin of the draft I'd seen last month, "Don't chase infinity, you'll never catch it. Catch a number instead. Follow Hawking's work." I closed the folder and booked a flight. We originally called the mission Hertog 3 in the proposal, a nod back to one of the early pioneers in our field, Thomas Hertog, the Belgian theoretical physicist. The folks at the European Space Agency toned it down. They allowed a simple H3 logo on the ship's hull and then backed that up with a change of mission name in the press kit once they'd seen the donor list. We were now flying Hawking 3 in memory of another great early thinker and Hertog's partner in crime. Our ship, commonly referred to as the Array, looked like a bowl of black flowers with petals of supercooled carbon radiating out from the central hub. The whole system was designed to listen in on the birth of the universe. I had the maddest image in my head of superconducting spiders sitting under the petals, all of them wearing oversized headphones. I wondered in quiet moments whether they could still hear anything at 3 Kelvin. As for flight experience, I'd done my time with high-altitude balloons in Chile and spent hours becoming accustomed to the thinness of existence on a mountain top. This, though, was quite different. After all of the training, after all of the effort, both intellectually and physically, this was too clean and too quiet. The launch bay was all plasglass and deep restraint. Voices were hushed in both the command centre and on the Array's bridge. The atmosphere was reminiscent of a planet-side cathedral at dawn almost. Beyond the command centre viewpoint, our Array hung in its cradle like something half-grown and half-awake, a black bloom unfurling in slow motion. Each petal of supercooled carbon shimmered faintly under the station's running lights, swallowing more light than it reflected back. Over the comms, I heard one of the engineers joke softly, saying that it looked less like a machine and more like a tensely listening animal. No one laughed, and the air felt thinner out here, stretched around our anticipation and fear. We worked through the final checks, each movement rehearsed 1,000 times in Earth's gravity and again 1,000 times up here on Sol 1 station. The process was almost balletic. The hum of the Sol 1 systems threaded through the hull, a low frequency that made the blood in your ears pulse to its rhythm. The engineers sealed off the last umbilicals, locking the array to its release frame. The pilot's voice came through the comms loop, calm, almost reverent. Stage green, all vectors clear. Once we had manoeuvred outside of the station's launch bay, the petals opened by degrees and our deep listening flower blossomed. On board Hawking 3, I caught my reflection in the flight deck's viewport. I saw my helmet and a hint of my eyes, and saw there the faint tremor of my breathing. For a moment, I thought again of those superconducting spiders, patient under the carbon canopy, listening for the first whisper the universe ever made. Then the release frame clamps disengaged, with a sound too small to feel real, and so the array drifted free. There was no roar, no flare, no theatre, just the clean separation of purpose from preparation. We hung there, almost motionless, in zero gravity, watching our slow slide into the dark, through the viewports. It was the quietest launch imaginable, and even when the fusion drive kicked in, the resultant shift in tone was minimal. "Anya," said Reed, the pilot and mission lead, as we sat at the console bank and watched the numbers fall into neat lines. He kept his voice light. "Are we going to prove a dead man right?" "Yes," I replied. "Yes, we are." Simple words, but reassuring, mostly for me. Reed smiled. He liked that answer. He worried, and I worried too, but then good work is always done on the back of a little worry. So that's part one of the Hawking Parallel. Hopefully that's going to keep you on the hook and keep you intrigued, and I will bring you part two tomorrow. If you like what you hear, then please do hit the like button and subscribe. You'll join over 130,000 other listeners and watchers. And also send me a comment. Happy to get engaged in conversation if there's anything you want to ask. If you want to find out more about me, the story guy Clive Gilson, then go to clivegilson.com. And you can see links at the bottom of the screen where you can find out more about the books. And you can buy part one of the duology, the Cry Havoc duology, which is called A Solitude of Stars, pretty much any good bookstore. Part two, from which this tale comes, will be available towards the end of 2026. In the meantime, I think that's enough for now. I will get on with preparing part two, and I will catch up with you tomorrow. Take care.